Hello, worlds. Check out where we are today. Now, if you're a MechWarrior and seeing this planet's name doesn't give you goosebumps, it's okay. It's okay because you just don't know. And today, for a cool little departure from the norm, because this is such a historical planet in the setting, I'm going to be dipping my toes into the depths of the BattleTech lore, and I'm going to be giving you basically a complete breakdown on what has to be one of the longest and bloodiest histories for almost any planet in the BattleTech universe. Before I continue, a quick shout out to any and all MechWarrior 4 Vengeance veterans out there. You see, what happened was I came here originally just to test out my whole new medium mech company, along with some new pilots. But what we got turned out to be an MMO on what looked and felt like the moon of Kentares, which is just a really crazy twist of fate. So I felt like it was a real one-time alignment of stars that would be a great background for a script I was conjuring up. Normally when I do these episodes, I'm talking while I'm playing, and there's a hilarious B-side to this video because I tried reading the script while I was playing. And well, you see, the way my brain works is the battle mech is always going to take priority in anything I'm doing. So it had a lot of glitches and missing stuff, stuff like moments where my brain just really had to stop to find my place again. And it just wasn't of the quality that I was trying to aim for. So I redid it afterwards, and when I'm done giving you the history, I'll just switch over to where I can see and start giving you a play-by-play and any notes you could learn from. So, let's start with some hard facts and data for the hardest core of battle math nerds. Kentares. The key planet in interest is Kentares 4, the fourth planet in the system. This system is rather remarkably normal, like perfect Terran clone kind of thing. Jump point distance is only 15 days. It has one moon of note called Columbia. Surface gravity for actual Kentares 4 itself is 1's perfect standard atmospheric pressure, standard and breathable. Equatorial temperature averages are in the 30 degrees Celsius, nice temperate, probably 60-70 degree nights and 90 degree days. Interesting and key fact, the surface water is about 90%. That's a key number to remember. We will be back to really highlight what this translates to later. And the highest native life it ever accomplished on its own was a few insects. Now, for census data, you're going to notice a really interesting bubble. The population peaked at about 60 million, approximately 58 in the year 2796. But a year later, that was reduced to a mere 6 million. And last census data available I could find was just around end of FedCom Civil War with about 6.75 million people. It's ruled by a Duke. Comstar rates the HBG class as B, which means it's busy and not the most cutting edge of their tech, but definitely all the best of their regular stuff. It's mainly an agrarian world where anything can find a good spot to grow easily and has very temperate climates all around. Now, the blood-soaked history of Kentares begins with its discovery in 2317, with the settlements forming a planetary government in 2319. Sometime shortly after, the locals decided to ally themselves with the Federated Suns, mostly in a bid to acquire protection for the coming storms. It should be noted with distinction that despite being a border systems, the Federated Suns have been able to keep control of this system for over 800 years by the Ill Clan era, and it fell to Draconis occupation for only 6 years of that time, which is a really harrowing feat and a record kind of rivaled and matched by New Avalon, both in the time held and for the short time lost, the extreme loss of life. Now, everything would actually be nice and peaceful until a Director General named James McKenna enters the history pages of the Inner Sphere. And to McKenna's credit, he knew that the Terran Alliance government was a sham. But by building up and acquiring a whole new warship fleet, the first of its kind by the way, he decided to just complicitly wait. Then when a civil war began brewing on Terra, he pulled his trigger. By essentially forcing both sides of the conflict to surrender to him or face outright destruction of the whole continent they were on, he started a military-backed coup that would be taken on a long and bloody campaign to further oppress all people who never even seen Terra, birthing a horrible tragedy that was the time before the Star League, known as the Age of War era. And with a new era comes a new faction, called by McKenna his Terran Hegemony, a faction that would only be remembered for its oppression and its most notorious implements, most notably the warship, the dropship, and the battle mech. Now, Sun Tzu preaches location, location, and don't forget location. And by the numbers and math, I had a feeling this planet was gonna be very difficult terrain. What gave me that feeling? The 90% water. This means a lot of islands, and those islands are probably dotted with mountains, large plateaus, and mesa-like features. Otherwise, this is purely blue water Navy turf. I even decided to ask ChatGPT what it thought. Keeping in mind, I have a little bit of geological science in me, mostly from a military perspective and high school science types, and actually backed up this idea, saying, quote, yes, it is very reasonable to assume that Kentares, specifically Kentares 4 of the BattleTech universe, features a significant number of islands and a varied rocky terrain. Based on established lore, the geography of Kentares 4 aligns well with the idea. Abundant water and mostly islands. Kentares 4 is described as a temperate and very fertile world, but with nearly 90% of its surface covered by water. With this high water-to-land ratio makes it highly probable that most of its land masses consist of island chains, archipelagos, and coastal continents. The planet is also known to have very diverse and rugged terrain, even including mountainous forests, which are called the Olympian Reaches, and prior to being heavily industrialized and later destroyed, was a very rough and naturally green world. With the mention of the Olympian Reaches, which are mountainous forests, and the general description of it being a world with diverse topological features, including tundra in some areas, supports the idea of raised, craggy, rocky terrain like plateaus. In addition to this is the ruined aspect. Following the Kentares massacre in 2796, many of the planet's areas were covered with ruins of the factories. This, combined with the natural geography, gives the landscape likely a mix of very natural rocky crags with broken concrete-covered plateaus. In summary, imagining Kentares as a water-rich, archipelago-heavy world with craggy, upland areas is a very accurate interpretation of the lore. Another thing of note is its very high importance system, as it's in a cluster of border planets at what one could describe as an intersection, where, depending on era, up to 3 factions would have some reasonable access to. Those states being the Fed Sons, the Draconis Combine, the Terran Hegemony, and later on the Comstar demilitarized zone around Terra, which would also be converted into the Republic of the Sphere. Some neighboring systems are actually technically under one jump away, a mere 9.8 light years, and has 3 other systems conceivably just one good jump away, making this system an important logistical hub of both high civilian commercial interest in addition to its military value. Now, in 2431, the Terran Hegemony Armed Forces landed an invasion of Kentares IV as part of Director General James McKenna's campaign to forcibly reintegrate colonies that were abandoned by the Demarcation Declaration back before the Terran Hegemony. The campaign ran for 6 months, as Kentares was defended by battle-hardened Fed Sons troops. It was a campaign in which the limitations of combat vehicles, powered especially by internal combustion engines, were starkly highlighted to the hegemony, prompting the development of fusion-powered combat vehicles. The Fed Sons would contest the hegemony's control of Kentares, with the 4th Avalon Hussars launching a campaign in 2449 to reclaim the planet. This conflict would involve the first deployment of dropships intended to be military mech transports, with the hegemony forces deploying a number of manatee dropships. The appearance of the manatees led to some initial success for the hegemony forces, but the Hussars learned to exploit its light armor and weapons array, destroying several of the dropships along with their transported mechs. Despite this, the manatee deployment on Kentares proved the basic viability of the idea, even if heavier fighter screens would be needed. Now, this made me fall back and ask a question. What do you mean the first deployment of dropships carrying battle mechs? Because this is BattleTech, aka MechWarrior, and that's like an everyday thing here. Like, seriously, how did anything get around if this wasn't the first time somebody made the equation of dropship plus battle mechs equals victory? Well, the answers I got via my sleuthing and what canonical evidence I could find is this incident would mark a really crazy point where the first 4 battle mechs ever were put together in one lance and landed. You heard me. The first lance landed via the first modern and recognizable dropship, the Manatee. Now, the reason for the Manatee being a note is twofold. Firstly, it was one of the only transports of the time actually designed to attach to the jump ship and be able to take their cargo straight from the jump ship to the planet's surface. Traditionally in this time period, it wasn't uncommon for jump ships to offload cargo while at the recharge station or dry dock for maintenance, while non-atmospheric capable transport craft moved goods to other orbital stations where other craft could arrange the cargo's final descent. The few transports that could go straight into atmosphere were barely able to fit vehicles. The only military transport available at this time was called the Ares landing craft, and it was only capable of carrying 6 5-ton light tanks directly from jump ship to planet side. That's right. The dropship was brand new in this time frame, and the first real dropship as we know and recognize them, the Manatee, was growing its first set of teeth. By the way, yes. Unfortunately, I'm based out of the state where manatees reside, and according to Google, they only have molars. Anyways, the Manatee was originally just a commercial craft, but this would have marked the biggest technology jump in logistics since the advent of the semi-truck. Matter of fact, the good old Union class that we see and know every day is basically just a 2X size Manatee, even keeping the familiar golf ball shape and appearance. And the Terran hegemony decided that the shiny new battle mechs needed a good way to get around. And the Manatee, with at its time record-breaking 1,044-ton cargo capacity, plus the landmark flexibility, being able to land exactly where you want to drop your kids off at, made it the ideal candidate for what would become the basis of every MechWarrior's favorite activity: disembarking under supporting fire to go wreck someone's house, or finish that revenge quest, or maybe just make a buttload of cash. Anyways, what's an everyday thing for MechWarriors today had now just officially come into being. Ironically, the second bullet point here is this was apparently the second deployment of the first battle mech ever, the Mikey. Its first deployment and use in combat took place in the Styx system in 2443, and that was also the first time battle mechs were ever used at all. So it's totally reasonable to conclude that after the success on Styx, the Terran hegemony had the idea of literally just packing these things up and whatever they could get them back down planetside in, and taking the whole show on the road. Now, canonically, the battle history for the Mikey never gave much past the initial testing on Terra and Styx, but the first recorded use of battle mechs was at Styx, and the technology did remain exclusive to the hegemony for about the first 15 years, meaning only in large-scale hegemony campaigns would mechs actually be possibly found running it. Combine that with the specific noting that conventional ground vehicles were almost rendered useless by Kentares' aforementioned terrain. Now, the second battle mech to ever be produced, the EMP-A1 Emperor. Yeah, I know, that's a really ironic model prefix if you know what that stands for. But anyways, the second battle mech design behind the Mikey was fresh out of the factory gate in 2442, and it saw action on Styx too. But the Emperor just ended up being a side note in history. I'm not even sure if they're really still around by the Ill clan. It actually was a good design before it died out, however. In its last Star League update, it was remarkably similar in movement and firepower to the Highlander, albeit lacking the ruggedness to help it survive the infamous tech regression of the intro tech period. Remarkably, it did survive in the occasional clan tombing. The third mech to ever come into existence within the Inner Sphere was called the KY2-D-01 Kyudo, which honestly, it's basically a Primitives era Panther. You heard me right. This is the Panther before the Intro-Tech period, kinda. This is the Age of War, which is basically BattleTech's caveman age. And it would see its first deployment on kentares. Amazingly too, this was the lightest battle mech of the period, weighing in at 45 tons. And that's because the primitive stuff was way heavy, and to get the performance of a Panther back then required legitimately a medium mech weight at least. Combined with good covering fire from its bigger brothers, and its supreme maneuverability, at least compared to its bigger brothers. And it's funny because its guy's really only a 4.6 movement profile. But in the horrifically rocky coastlines and altitudes, that 10 km/h difference actually becomes noticeable after a while. Now, while we're on the topic of mediocre, oh my god, this is funny. The most mediocre assault mech of all time, the original Banshee, the BNC-1E, would actually get to see its first real use. Fortunately, time would be on this design side here, as it is packing enough firepower to very appropriately deal with the lighter weight ground vehicles that it would see action against. And having the same movement and ironically almost firepower to Kyoto made its meager performance actually perfectly okay. What's genuinely funny here too is that the first 4 mechs ever made were just 50 tons under the weight limit of the Manatee, with the Mackie, Emperor, and Banshee being noticeably high in the assault mech weight class. This was in part due to this being once again the Primitives era, the era before Intro-Tech. That is how far back the blood-soaked history of this planet goes in the setting. Practically the very start of everything BattleTech and MechWarrior. During the start of the Star League, it would be returned to the Federated Suns, where it would remain, but sadly not forever. By the start of the First Succession War, Kentares was one of the worlds occupied by the Draconis Combine during the massive invasion of the Federated Suns that began in May 2787. Although a naval battle at Kalam, fought in March and April in 2790, had cost the AFFS a huge price, it did buy the Fed Sun something it badly needed: time. For 14 months, the invasion forces from the Combine were unable to make significant gains in systems such as Dobson, Galtor, Kentares, and New Roads. But by the time their push finally breached in 2791, the 7th Crucis Lancers and elements of the 2nd were already handy to defend the planet. During the height of the operations of 2796, the Davian Aerospace Forces were surprised by a brand new fighter, the SL-17 Chalone, and it was able to lay down a very devastating long-range missile barrage that seriously disrupted any attempts by the Davian fighters to intercept the Curidan dropships en route to orbit to land their mechs. Meanwhile, on the ground, the surviving elements of the 7th Crucis Lancers were hardly finding resistance against the DCMS occupation of the planet. The efforts of the 7th Crucis Lancers were getting notable attention, especially because guerrilla wars always trigger a logistical drain, with hit and run basically meaning the Crucis Lancers weren't taking the same losses as the DCMS. This raised to a level that it was risking the planned invasion of New Avalon. And this led Coordinator Minoru Kirita deploying the 6th Sword of Light to Kentares to hunt down the resistance, with himself personally in command. This would notably be Minoru's last command. Outside of the town of New Snowfield, Minoru was so taken with the scenery that he decided to just actually park and take a second. Apparently, he dismounted his battle master and got on foot. And after finding a few fanboys and a Buddhist priest, he decided to just tour the grounds of a park leisurely. Eventually, the soldiers got hungry, decided to break for lunch, and the priest and the Minoru decided to break ranks with them and go talk privately. This would be a fatal error, as Sergeant Latha Paschel, a sniper from the 7th Crucis Lancers, would find Lord Kirita and kill him, shooting him in the back. At the time, Minoru had just been wearing nothing but the standard field officer BDU, and the sniper would later recount that he thought he had just merely shot a colonel. When word of what had happened reached the AFFS High Command, First Prince John Davian reacted by issuing emergency evacuation orders. As skilled an opponent as Minoru had been, his son, Jinjiro, was legit bat guano crazy, and the news of Minoru's death would not be enjoyed. John ordered all AFFS forces on Kentares to evacuate, fall back, and even get off planet, in the hopes of denying Jinjiro a focus for his inevitable rage. Jump ships were even diverted from Sanya to help in evacuating the last of the forces, just as Jinjiro was making planetfall. And this would be a decision everyone came to regret, as Jinjiro responded to Minoru's death by ordering the Kentares massacre. Sergeant Pischel was one of those who escaped Kentares ahead of the massacre, unfortunately only later to commit suicide after learning of the repercussions of his historical feat. This insanely huge war crime would be throughout the BattleTech and MechWarrior lore and history remembered as the Kentares Massacre, and it lasted for 5 months, during which more than 90% of the world's population was executed, and their homes and all infrastructure were leveled. Estimates vary, but somewhere around 52 million people were outright murdered. It was a small compensation that, due to Jinjiro's assignment of so many regiments to just the massacre, it led to a decline of morale within the DCMS, and the action also logistically thrust into the Federated Suns was stalled by. During this time, the Jenner battle mech came into notoriety, easily defeating the difficulties presented by Kentari's terrain. With its blend of speed, jump capability, and firepower, would make it an ideal mech for the roving bands of murderous marauders unleashed by the DCMS upon a defenseless population. The counterattack by the Federated Suns was led by units employing Vulcan battle mechs to flush out Combine infantry from the cities of Amishton and Davisbury. The mechs inflicted extensive damage to both cities. Finally, Kentares was liberated by the armed forces of the Fed Suns in 2801 during the first major counteroffensive of the First Succession War against the Draconis Combine. After Kentares 4 was liberated, and a company-sized group of survivors from the 7th was discovered, not only managed to survive on the planet, but continued fighting. Captain Kieran McKinnon had managed to launch a spate of attacks and harassing actions against the remaining DCMS troops after Jinjiro had withdrawn from Kentares in 2797. The survivors, dubbed McKinnon's Raiders, made the liberation of Kentares considerably easier, and First Prince Paul Davian used their ability to conduct long-term, long-range raiding campaigns effectively during the various counteroffensives against the DCMS for the remainder of the war. Now, Second Succession War. In 2854, the Combine attacked Kentares 4 again. The AFFS had turned the planet into a forward logistic base, and the Combine forces intended to capture all possible supplies, but failed to do so. As more units on both sides joined the battles, the Curidans totally failed to take the planet, repulsed by the troops of Prime Marshal Peter Davian. But the AFFS ignored that the battle was actually just a diversionary prelude to Miyogi Kurida's Marathon Offensive, which led to the fall of the neighboring Robinson system. Now, in the Third Succession War, at some point, probably around circa 3000th, this is quite the landmark. The 5000th Mobile Tank Support Unit was made and served as a relief force for Kentares 4. But believe it or not, the Third War was actually peaceful here for the most part, with no notable large-scale campaigns taking place. Albeit there was probably an occasional smash-and-grab style raid. Now, during the FedCom Civil War, the events on Kentares are actually chronicled in MechWarrior 4 Vengeance, where you play as a mercenary hired up to assist the planetary ducal family. Some of the first clashes of the FedCom Civil War actually took place on Kentares 4, where Duke Eric Dressari publicly denounced Archon Catherine Steiner Davian as a despot and a usurper, and started demonstrations among the people of Kentares against her rule. I really wish he would have got that right. Nandi was the problem. Anyway, in response to this, the 5th Donegal Guards were dispatched to take control of the situation. And the situation escalated and culminated in the execution of Duke Dressari and his family. The surviving family members led a guerrilla war to regain control of the world. And this guerrilla campaign would actually start on the moon of Kentares, called Columbia. This was done as a first strike to cut communications off for the Lyrans. And this is where MechWarrior 4 Vengeance officially begins. Remember, kids, It's either a property dispute or a revenge quest. Anyways, Kentares was also a target of the DCMS reprisal attacks for the Draconis March invasion of Kiridan space. In January of 3065, the 3rd Benjamin Regulars landed on the planet, but the local militia held off the regulars until the arrival of the 10th Lyran Guards, who, while passing through, were nice enough to land a few Steiner Force Recon Lances. Remember, kids, Steiner Force Recon Lances always come with an Atlas, or 3, handily sending the Benjamins packing. And lastly, in 3085, in that weird period of time just post-Jihad and at the start of the Republic, one of Anastasius Fox's last acts, with aid from Victor Steiner Davian, was to convince the Fed Sons to relocate his namesake academy, the Focht War College, to Kentares 4 and maintain it as a multinational institution. The world itself never completely recovered, despite the Federated Sons' best efforts. But various factors, predominantly the remembrance of the massacre and the looming presence of the Draconis Combine border, kept people and investors away. And amazingly, in the Ill Clan, outside of the occasional Drac raiding, which is nothing new, because they suck at making stuff, so the DCMS has to steal stuff from us Fed Sons kids. I mean, who wants to live on rice and seaweed forever, right? Anyways, it's actually peaceful for now. But the next time it gets contested, I'm sure the one thing everyone can agree on is its bloody past can only be repeated. And I hope you enjoyed this little history report on the whole planet of Kentares. And guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. This MMO, I already knew a good bulk of the planet's history, so when I seen it pop up, I was a little apprehensive about doing it. But at the same time, I wanted a pretty harsh test, so it was kind of a careful what you wish for situation on the difficulty front. But yeah, like in particular, this demolition job right here, I seriously wish I had brought at least just one heavy mech, but yeah, gotta do what you gotta do, and here I am, like, literally nitpicking every last window, and yeah, I am running around like a maniac, keeping everything lit as long as I can, and seriously prioritizing the soft targets, and there isn't many, so whew. This mission felt like it was forever long. Seriously, it was. This is definitely one of those times. Sometimes you see a difficulty level, and it's really not as advertised. It is just a complete anomaly for that number, and there's something special that just makes it 3 times harder than what you would think it would be, kinda, you know? But, like I said, I knew the history of the place. I was hoping it wasn't gonna let me down, and, yeah, we definitely added to its, bloody history here. You could say this was a little more than just a smash and grab. This was like a almost assault the earth here. I mean, as far as hard as you got wrecked this place. And it was a heck of a good test on my lance too, because yeah, they were actually able to pretty much keep it nice and quiet all the way through while I just focused on wrecking the infrastructure. That was after that epic first four, you know, whole lance of mechs came strolling up the hill at us. That was that was kind of memorable. But yeah. Whew. Yeah, like I said, I'm just going to its outermost extremities, trying to find anything small that's easy to smash. Because the only other resort I got is trying to take down sections of wall, and those take forever. Yeah. At least for a medium, you know. And right about here is when I started really feeling the crunch, because it's like, okay, the defenders are really closing in. They're hurt, but you know, they're making it in, and I'm just running hot, and kind of wish that airstrike did more than what it did. I mean, it was still an okay start, but this spot is just unusually hard. I mean, this thing felt like it took forever. Ooh. I mean, I'm even grinding up against buildings. Yeah. Yeah, that's about all I can do now. It's like tear down a piece of the wall. Yeah, I can do it, but it still takes time. But if I had a heavy mech, I'd be able to just run right through it.
The facility's gone cold. All power signatures gone. No one's going to be able
About
to utilize
freaking
this
time.
complex for quite a bit. Time to get out of here, Commander.
I wonder if this is any way close to any of the early missions in MechWarrior 4 Vengeance. Ooh. I didn't get to play that one. I got to play 3 Black Knight, and the next one I got to after that was 4 Mercenaries. I gotta admit, I know the naming deal, so when it's a Mercenaries MechWarrior, oh yeah, I gotta get that one. But if it's a named one, part of the reason why I love MechWarriors, you got so many of these mechs and so many vehicles and so many options to do everything. I want the ability to replay it at least a little, just to try new stuff out, you know? And yeah, it's amazing to think that even in the Super Nintendo days, somebody managed to accomplish something that was legitimately close to a sandbox gameplay, you know? And I like building my own castles and surrounding them with crab mechs. Ooh. And you're about to see, I'm actually doing, even despite the pressure and the wall, I'm still keeping the good tactics, and I'm even, you know, covering my guys, and they're covering me as we GTFO. So, yeah. I actually try to play the game as real as I can. I missed the physics of MechWarrior 4, how, you know, mechs could fall over.
Pack it up, Commander.
Oh my
Before
god.
mercenaries arrive.
I had an evil Solaris brawler, a mauler with twin clan LBX 20s. Bro, if I hit a locust with that thing, I could, I swear, I wish I could have recorded it, but I swear I actually sent a locust flying into another mech. I hit it so hard with that twin LBX 20. And it was literally point blank, like, you know, probably easy 40, 50 meters, like a one step and I could have punched him instead, but I just went for the alpha strike. And that's why I love that replayability. You know, that Mauler did not start life with Twin Clan LB20Xs. And that's why I'm a Team Bonsai fan, because they were notorious for rocking custom mechs like they would do something like that. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I have a real good gut feeling that the Hatchet Man was a recycled assassin. Like, seriously. If you take a picture of the assassin and put it next to the Hatchet Man, it all lines up. Take the original photos of both those mechs and put them next to each other and tell me it's like, whoa, wait a minute. And knowing what the Hatchet Man had with like the full head ejection and stuff, it's like, oh, maybe they were trying to fix that, you know? Because the assassin just sucked. Anyway. We didn't, man, we got tore up, but fact of the matter is we actually did decent. But it's just the start, and it's like, ugh. Because we were getting hammered on. And that's why I brought a whole company of mechs. That way it's like, okay, whatever happens, it's like, just, you know, work on it when you can. We got fresh ones already ready to go. Oh man, those hammer fists and arena fists are hard to find, bro. Ugh. Yeah, put that in the freezer. Alright. Now, I'm not gonna edit the footage really, outside of, you know, whatever time constraints or whatever I got with the system, but yeah. I'll figure out something to ramble on about. Kind of glad this company turned out to be really energy heavy too, because at least that's a little bonus going in our favor with the terrain, because in vacuum lasers can go a little further and punch a little harder because there's no atmosphere for them to burn through. So that's one of those cool tactical devil in the details things. Truth be told, and we should be benefiting from low gravity too, which means everything would be getting a range boost, but the lasers get an actual impact boost too. I love that hunchy. Hunchback pilots anywhere, if you hear this, please swapping that AC-20 for a Gauss rifle. That is sexy. Seriously, you should do that. You're giving up just a little bit of punch, but the range and the accuracy and the speed of that slug totally makes it worth it, because it's like an AC-15, you know, that has like a almost PPC kind of range. Gauss rifles are awesome. Oh, and FYI for the kids dueling with the clans, it's one of the few inner sphere weapons that actually stat-wise goes toe-to-toe with them. Of course, the clan ones are going to be lighter, but that's it. That's it.
There's a good chance our
They get the
targets are
same
split up
range
in
and
order to
damage and
evade us.
everything. And,
The more
ooh
locations
boy,
on
it's
the
a
map,
dark one.
the most likely areas where we'll
Hey,
find
somebody
them.
start
Be
up Pink
careful,
Floyd's Dark
as
Side
they
of the
may
Moon.
support the willing to die for their cause.
I wonder if something happens if we line it up with the third roar.
You should be able to call it in shortly.
Okay, cool point of fact. There's an old urban legend that if you take Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon and the movie The Wizard of Oz, and it's if you start the Dark Side of the Moon album right after the third lion roar during the MGM splash screen thing they kind of had, that album, the music, even the lyrics do actually line up to what you're seeing on screen. And what's crazy is the album isn't as long as the movie, but if you put the album on repeat, you're not disappointed. It's like one of the most insane coincidences, and I have no idea who in their right mind would even be watching The Wizard of Oz while trying to listen to The Dark Side of the Moon at the same time. That's just I don't know if you know ancient boomer arguing with early Gen Xer kind of shenanigans, or so I got a good view of that one objective. It's probably what I'm thinking about. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, give me a sniper up here. That Gauss rifle definitely qualifies.
As requested, Commander.
Got a great view. I gotta admit, I love these electric Centaurians. Way better than the OG edition, in my humble opinion. Yeah, I took the long way, I see. That's fine.
I'm not seeing our targets at this location.
Alright.
Make way to the next nav point. We might have more luck
Alright,
there.
we're gonna just straight disengage. We'll fight him if he has to, but if that Vindy don't chase us, I ain't gonna hunt him.
Target acquired.
Okay. You about to reap it. I was gonna leave you alone, game, bro, but I'm kind of that Sun Tzu style, you know. I don't fight you unless I got to kind of thing, you know. But here we are. Ooh, can I get you in the head? Nice! I am proudly laughing in Federated Sons. Okay. Well, that could be cool to look forward into in the scrap pile. I gotta admit, I'll give credit where credit's due. The Capellans do make some real gem of mechs. God, the Vindicator and the Thunderbolt. The Cataphract has a really weird asterisk. Like, if you told me, hey, you're playing tabletop tomorrow, the Cataphract would actually be on my okay list if it was tabletop. But virtually, no, I'm not getting in that death trap, yo. The hitbox for the cockpit is just so big. Like, even good AI can headshot you. And it's like, ugh, no. But, yeah, those are some outstanding mechs. Thought I heard somebody. What's kind of funny, too, is this Electric Centaurian is laid out just like my crab, just with an LRM-10 launcher. If I could do an engine swap on the crab, I could probably fit something. But, yeah, that's one of those devil in the details. Truth be told, I wish I had a 27 SL crab. Oh my god. Those things are legitimately OP. Like, seriously, I have no problem taking them on assault weight missions. It is a phenomenal flanker. And DFAs are an option. Ooh, I see mechs. I see mechs.
Alpha 1-1, this is Sierra
Give me
2-1.
everything you got right there.
Sierra 2-1 out.
Ooh, this terrain's gonna be gnarly.
That's it for our airstrike support. We're on our own now.
New target, Locust.
Definitely gonna be doing some
Detecting
CQB.
toxic battle mech in the area. The whole gang is here, Commander. Watch yourself.
That's what I see. Alright. Start assigning some targets. And I'm gonna go for this guy, because he's a legit threat. These trebuchets, I gotta give them points. They are a great fire support number. And unfortunately, all these guys took a bit of a hit from that air raid. Almost wish I had brought a second one. Come on, blow that ammo bin.
Target Alpha has been neutralized.
Gotcha.
Incoming missile. Target acquired.
Ooh!
Target destroyed. New target Javelin. Target acquired.
Alright, I'm gonna go back my kids up in brawling style. Trying to get that left torso ammo bin to light. Cool, got his arm off. Come here. Die! Okay, we got something else trying to creep up behind us.
Target acquired.
Oh! Yeah, would you mind getting that? Alright, everyone take the Wolverine that's trying to get our bat.
Commander. Now let's get you all home. Head to the evac point.
Cool. I'm coming. Where are you going? Ooh, 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 ooh. Ah, manual DFA. DFA with no jump jets. That is funny. I'm elite like that. I wish that was tabletop. I know I would have knocked him off that ledge and he would have just like, woo! Oh yeah, that would have probably been like a pilot unconscious situation. Kids, do whatever you gotta do up there to survive. I'm gonna try to get back up here.
What's your focusing target?
I think that one spider up with him now is the last one. Ooh. Oh, cool. Get his leg. Get that leg. Oh, well, backplate will work. At least if you got PPC. Maybe a little pre-existing damage too, I'm not sure. Alright, and we begin the long walk back up there. Is this another one or different? I thought the second spider was up with my lance. Unless they chased them down. Did you fall off the ledge too, bro? Gotcha. Yeah. Boy, that Hunchy and that Wolverine, that's a good long-range combo, ain't it? Of course, they aren't stock. As is the spirit of Team Bonsai. Actually, vast majority of everything, all the mods you see me running, yeah, it's stuff that I've had, like, for, God, I don't want to say years, but some of them, yeah. There's a couple of mechs that, you know, I never had to play with the constraints you do here before, you know, with the whole, you know, hard point things. But here's a funny glitch too to that. I noticed that when you do modify a mech in MechWarrior 5 Mercs and you're just, you know, stuck with the hard points and refilling, you know, energy with energy, you know, missile with missile, etc. those same mods in tabletop would actually all fall under the field refit rule, which is really friggin' cool because that is a glitch that allows you to have custom mechs without paying custom mech prices. Custom mechs traditionally, they got a huge penalty in both time and cost to repair, but if it's a field refit, it can be treated like it was a regular day, a regular mech. So, and that gives you a huge amount of flexibility sometimes with, you know, if you're caught with a serious lack of parts or a particular weapon or something. I give him points, he knew what he was doing. Because my next shot would have taken that arm off. Yeah, it was. You actually tore me up pretty good. I almost died this time. Oh my god. Oh, thank you. Alright. Whew. This was yet another brutal battle on Kentares, and my mech is in no shape to be treasure hunting or anything, so let's go straight to the evac. Whew, look at that. I wonder how bad that structure is. Buffering. Okay. Nice. Ooh. Ooh, I think I will. I think I will.
An imminent invasion of the area. Your job is to eliminate any.
Alright, and we're on to the last op on Kentares. And this one's serious, kids. It's a beachhead.
Enemy artillery to be relentless.
Yeah, that's every day. What else?
There are several artillery batteries in the area. Search for them and silence those guns.
Okay. So here's what I'm gonna start out with. Alright. I don't know if you noticed, but I was kind of hoping we could quietly sneak over. I wanted to get closer to this first objective, but that's why I had them on hold fire. But yeah, obviously the artillery decided to start nice and early, which is okay because I got a plan for that too. And what my plan is, I'm gonna go ahead and send the rest of the Lance to go deal with, you know, defending forces. And I'm gonna go specifically headhunt the artillery. At least any artillery that I can find. And that kind of does me the favor because that's gonna help preserve my Lance and my people. And because the artillery is traditionally gonna focus on the command mech. At least so it seems here. Now, obviously, in tabletop against another human, the other human would probably be like, you know what? I see what you're doing. I'm gonna do what I can to monkey wrench your plans real quick, because this one little crab is quick. But, you know, a shadow hog caught in a brawl somewhere else, further away on the map, would make a much more palatable target.
Placement destroyed.
New target, urban mech.
But, yeah.
Moving on requested
You can
target.
see that, it was a pretty sound idea, because we kind of stripped the defenses off of one objective, and
Target destroyed.
we're now moving in for the second one.
Target destroyed.
I'm gonna double back and get these dishes later. Ooh, you're a dangerous one. Give me that auto. Whoa! Auto cannon before you hurt yourself. Come on. Gotcha. You are a feisty little urban mech. I give you props for that. And you are in great terrain, too. This is one of the few natural terrains that an urban mech is like, you know what? You make perfect sense to deploy.
Target destroyed.
Alright, and we got another Vindy. Type X model.
Target destroyed. Target acquired.
And cool, somebody got that, I think.
Target
No?
destroyed. Target
Oh.
acquired.
I did. Okay.
Forming in file formation, sir.
What my goal is here is I'm gonna make a Hail Mary pass all the way to this back corner, just to see if they got any more artillery or not. If I make it to that back corner and there's any more artillery, I should be able to, even if it's in the other corner, I might get a telltale that it's there. Because that's not a very far distance across this map. Only literally about a kilometer and a half, maybe?
Once you've found the targeted asset, move up to it, and we'll begin the recovery
And we
procedure.
found loot! Yay!
That's close enough. Ready to start pickup operations.
What'd we get?
Package acquired.
New target trebuchet.
Ooh, okay, that must be
Target
like heat
acquired.
sinks or ammo or something.
Target destroyed. Incoming missile.
Ooh.
You've reached the target facility. Wipe out their defenses.
Alright. Kids, go ahead and peel off. Actually, I'm gonna
Target destroyed.
come in on an XY pattern with y'all. Okay.
Target acquired.
Trying to get a shot here. Ooh, nice. Alright, Jaeger mech.
Critical explosion imminent.
Target acquired.
Alright, all three of you on that one.
Received. Engaging. Boom.
And yeah.
Position.
Thank you.
Commander.
We'll leave that Jaeger mech. I'm wondering if he's dumb enough to do what I think he's gonna do.
Acquired.
Oh, we got an urban mech out here too? Okay. It's pretty quiet back there. Smart girls.
Our employer wants this area cleared of all tanks.
Okay. All right.
Under heavy fire! Breaking up! Group target received.
I seen Bates was getting wailed on, but I seen that Jaeger man getting wailed on too, and I was like, you'll be all right.
Enemy forces have destroyed our defenses. All forces in the area converge and eliminate.
That takes care of the
Okay.
garrison units. Move in to take control.
Now, before I go into the capture circle,
The area.
yeah, we got a little flight of VTOLs on the way in. But now I'm gonna fall back and wipe out those radar dishes and get some backup on the way. And then I'm gonna move in for the capture, because the capture is when the real wave on wave action starts. So I'm gonna take this little opportunity to make a pause in the action to get reinforcements into play. That's min-maxing.
Target acquired.
LRMs always have that problem with hitting satellite dishes up high. I always wondered what that was about.
Radar dish down.
Okay. Make me a hole right here. Cool. Y'all don't need power generators.
Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Alright.
Nearly there, Commander. Approach the hidden object.
Ooh, loot. Cool. Glad I came this way.
Target down.
Uh-oh, I'm stuck.
Brilliant. Payload acquired.
Target destroyed.
Nice. Oh man, I gotta get close.
Target acquired.
Why? What's in here? Oh, freaking building. Something like a building. Oh.
Enemy radar dish destroyed. That's the last radar
Cool.
installation on the list. Objective complete. Friendly reinforcements should
Cool.
be arriving shortly.
That's a no-go. Invalid routing.
I've been informed that support is on its way. Let's hope they make it.
Alpha 1-1, this is Whiskey 6-1. Thanks for clearing out that AA installation. Heard you could use a little backup. We're on our way
Good.
in.
They're
Stand by
smart
two
enough to
eyes.
keep
Whiskey
taking that
6-1
big
out.
weapon arm off of certain maps.
Build a mech.
That's something I noticed that, yeah, the AI does get is, you know, on some mechs, you want to take the arms off.
Falling in
Every mech has a weak spot, like it or not.
Target acquired.
It's actually kind of cool. I enjoy that aspect. It does give it some of that real actuality, because yeah, there would be a bit of a difference in landing a headshot on a cataphract versus, you know, a king crab or something, you know?
Target destroyed.
What did they give us? Okay, javelin and I think a Vulcan. All right. It's not great, but now you'll notice I got like baits way back there in the corner of the map and weapons hold on him. That's because I'm kind of keeping him out of this last fight. I got reinforcements landed. I got 2 more mechs to replace the one bad one I kind of got messed up. So yeah, that's my way of preserving people. When I can. Man, poor Leon, he got wiped out in a 1 in a million. That was insane to see. Yeah, some javelin knew exactly what it was doing.
They've gotten organized. Expect a large attack very soon.
Okay.
Got it. Engaging.
Okay. What's going on with that second mech? Did it not deploy? What the? What was that? Like, dude seriously didn't want to deploy, and at the last minute, the dropship cat was like, nope, open the door, kick him out. Wow, one of his legs got screwed up too. I don't know if that was totally from that drop or what, but that was cray cray. That was kind of fun to see too. Gotcha. Alright. And we just got vehicles on the way. I bet the
Reroute requested.
friendly
Roger.
force
Relocating
mechs
now.
should
On the assigned target.
alright.
On it, Commander.
Guess not. That's okay. I'll send my lance mates out to deal with that. And I can just sit back here and park. At least if anything gets dropped on top of me, I'm not alone.
Target acquired. Target destroyed.
Kill confirmed.
Come on. Cool. Ooh, we might be able to get this before the next wave drops.
That should be good enough for the invasion force.
Nice.
Review once they've secured this location.
All stations, this is
And
Sierra
that's
1-1.
the game.
We've just completed re-entry. Lights are green. Dropships can now land. Sierra 1-1 out.
Yeah, there's a little bit of beachhead strategies for you. I gotta say one thing. I doubt MechWarrior 4 Vengeance disappointed. Mercenaries definitely didn't. Kentares definitely didn't disappoint. Miraculously enough, me and my crew didn't disappoint. But man, that was a hard grind. Alright, and looks like we're gonna be taking... Should we? All three of them? You know what? Yeah. That's an outstanding haul. 2 mechs and some decent sized guns. Hell yeah. And we really milked that damage coverage for like almost every last sea build too. Outstanding. Bates, what is up with you? Alright, well. Alright, and we're gonna go ahead and skedaddle to the nearest industrial hub location. And yeah, seriously fix these poor babies up. Whew. We ran them hard. But they ran oh so good. Alright, kiddies. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off here now. So, thanks for watching. And until the next episode, good night and peace from New Avalon.